Hello friends, Satyendra here, and in today's video, let's talk about sections in Creo Parametric. And for this, I have one stop valve assembly with me. So I'll open the body part. So this is my stop valve body part. Now if I go to View Manager and select section, I have three sections already created here. So the first one, section A, is the planar section. Section B is the offset section. You can see that there is an angular section, which is nothing but the offset section. And the section C is zone section. So you can see these three different type of sections in 3D model. Now these three sections I'll show you one by one in this 3D model, and the same three sections I'll create once again in the 2D drawing with some additional feature. So let's get started. And for this, first I'll go to no cross section. I'll close it. So once again we'll create these three sections with a new name. So let's start with planar section. And for that, go to View, Section, select Planar. Now once you select Planar, you have several options here. So the first option is Offset and Through. So by default it selects Offset, and it asks you to select a datum plane or a planar surface or a coordinate system or a coordinate system axis. So I'll select a datum plane, the front plane. The moment you select a front plane, if you have offset selected here, you will have this drag handle to move it forward or backward. So this is nothing but offsetting from that datum plane. If you change it to through, it will stick with this datum plane. It will not move here and there. So you won't get the drag handle. So I'll change it to offset. Now the second thing is the offset value. So whatever value you assign, it will move forward or backward. I'll make it 0. Next thing is the flip option. So you can flip the section. Then cap int. If you uncheck it, your model will look like a surface model. So let it be checked. Then you have section color. So by default it will be selected model color. If you change it to some other color, the color will be filled to the section area. If you select use model color, then it will take the same color which is assigned to this model. The next option is the hash pattern. So if you select this, it will highlight the hash pattern here. Then you have 3D dragger. If you select this, then your normal dragger will go and you will get a 3D dragger. And using this, you can get offset view, or you can get a rotational view. So you can now rotate it to get a section view. So you will get a section view something like this. So this 3D dragger is very helpful if you are creating section in a particular angle. Next thing is the preview, section preview. So it will open this window where you will get the section view preview. You can rotate it or you can flip it. Then you have a tab called reference where it will highlight the plane which you have selected. Then you have some options to remove quilts. Quilts are nothing but the surfaces you create in your model. So if you have surfaces in your model, you can remove it from this option. Next tab is properties, where you can assign a new name for your section. So I'm taking D as a new name and say OK. So our planar section is ready now. So this was all about planar section. Now let's move to offset section. So I'll just deactivate it. Switch off this and say OK. Now next section is offset section. So go inside the section and select offset section. Now the moment you select offset section, it asks you to create a sketch. So I'll go to sketch, define, and this time I am selecting this surface to define my sketch. Now offset section allows you to create your required section using sketch. So you can draw the sketch something like this. So I have drawn this sketch like this. I'll say OK. Now here, if I highlight the section, you can see that this is not a planar one. This is having some angle, and rest of the options are almost same. Now you can add section color like this, or you can leave as model color. And then you have properties where you can define the name, and then you can say OK. One more option we have inside the offset section, that is first side section or second side section or both the side section. So if in case you have material on both the end from the section plane, then you can shuffle between first side section and second side section. So now we have material on both the end, so we can shuffle between first side section or second side section or both the side section. We can use section color, and the best part of one-sided offset section is it will be available for all three base view. That means if you go with front view, it will be available. If you go with right view, it will be available. And if you go with top view, it will be again available. So you can use the same section for all three base view. So this was all about offset section. Now the next option is zone section. So deactivate it and go to the section. Now you have some default section view, which is X direction, Y direction and Z direction. These three are nothing but the planar section, but the moment you select X direction, it will take this coordinate system and it will remove the material from X direction. If you select Y direction, it will remove the material from Y direction. And if you go for Z direction, it will remove the material from Z direction. Again, using these three X, Y, Z, you can have offset, you can have 3D dragger, rotate. All these planar options will be available for these three default options. Now the next section is zone section. So we'll go to zone. Now the moment you click zone, this window opens. Now here you can select datum planes, flat surfaces or coordinate system to define a zone. This is the first reference. By default it get added. So select any one datum plane. I have selected this. Now click on plus to add one more datum. I'll select this. Then once again click plus to add one more datum. I'll select this. So you can add multiple datum planes or multiple flat surfaces or coordinate system to define a zone. So I have selected three datums. Now I'll go for preview and I'll say OK. Now my zone section is created. Now I'll move to view manager. This is my zone section. I'll just rename it. Activate it, and now your zone section is ready. Now once again redefine it. Select this and flip it, this and flip it, this and flip it, and say OK. And this time you got a section view like this. Now let's understand the concept of zone section. Once again you redefine. So when you select number of datum planes or flat surfaces, you get an option called AND. When I select this, I have two options, AND OR. So when you select multiple datums using AND, then whichever get covered in that zone, that much material will be left and rest of the material will be removed. So now you can see the arrow direction. So this is the arrow direction. So this side the material will be left. Next is this bottom side. So this side material will be left. And if you select the first one, that side. So all three datums put together, the area which is covered by this zone will be left and rest of the material will be removed. Now let us change it to OR and say OK. Now you can see that whichever area was covered in that zone, that much material is removed and rest of the material is left. So this is the actual logic of and or, and by playing this and or, you can get a different kind of section. So let's redefine once again, and this time I'll select this and I'll select and say OK. Switch off this plane, and now you can see using and or combination I have this 3D section view, which is nothing but zone section. Close it. So this was the 3 different type of sections in 3D model, and now these 3 sections we are going to create in assembly model. We will see some additional options in assembly model. So let's move to assembly model. So this is my stop wall assembly, and now here I have 2 sections already created. This is the planar section and this one is also planar section, but there is a difference. If you see carefully, this part, this part, this part and this wheel in section A, these parts are not sectioned. Now you see this part is a complete part, this is also a complete part, but the body is sectioned and some other parts are sectioned. So these additional options you get in assembly model. So let's try these options in this assembly model. So let's go for section and planar. Again, it will ask you to select a datum plane. Switch on the datum plane, select one datum plane, something like this. Other options are similar. Reference, you have selected the plane. The additional option is here. Include all models, include selected model, exclude selected model. I'll go with this. I'll select some of the models to remove from this section and I'll say OK. Switch off the datums, and now you can see that you have removed a couple of parts from this planar section. Rename it with section C. Deactivate it. Now we'll go with offset section. So go to section, select offset section. Again it will ask you to draw the sketch, line, draw the section line, say OK. Now again you have exclude selected model. You can select some of the models which you don't want to show here in this section. So I'll select something like this and I'll say OK. Other options are same. So this was the offset section inside the assembly model. I'll rename it to D. Deactivate it. Now the next section is zone section. So go to zone, switch on your datum, and again try with the same options. Flip it, then go for and, or I'll go with or. I'll go with this, flip it, then again I will go with and I'll select this and I will flip it. See the preview and say OK. Now go to view manager, rename it, just right click and say activate. Switch off your datum, and now you can see that you have a zone section inside the assembly. Now you don't have exclude option inside the zone. Zone section is nothing but a 3D section which you can use in your drawing to highlight some areas. Now we just created these 3 sections in an active part and in an active assembly. Now these 3 sections we are going to create in our drawing. So let's move to the drawing. But before that, let's have a small break. And meanwhile, you can like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you. So this is my active drawing for stop wall body. And now I'll create all these 3 sections inside the drawing. But before this, I'll just remove these dimensions to make it more clear. So now it is better. I'll remove section view. I'll say no section, apply, OK. Now here, suppose you have not created any section in your 3D part and you are creating these sections directly in this 2D drawing. So in that case, first you decide that for which view you are going to add a section view. Suppose I am going to add section view in this. So just double click this view, go to section, select 2D cross section plus. So these are the default sections created in the part. So either you can go with these sections for your section view or you can create a new section view directly in the drawing. So I'm going to add a new section. I'll select on plus, say create new, and this time you can select planar or offset. I'm going for planar one. So I'll say done. Give the name of the section view. So I'm giving AA. I'll say OK. Now it is asking you to select a plane, planar surface or datum plane. So in my case, I will go with a datum plane. So now to select that datum plane, first you switch on the datum plane. Then go with this plane. So this is the plane. Your section A is created. Say OK. Your section A is created. Now select it, apply it and say OK. Switch off your default datums. So your section A is created. Now you add the section line, and for that go to layout tab, click on this arrow, select this view and click this view. So your section A is created here. Section, no section, apply and OK. Now the next section is offset section. Double click the same view, go to section, 2D cross section, plus, create new, and this time you go for offset. Done. Give the name. This time I will give the name as G. Now it has moved to your 3D model and it is asking you to create a sketch. So select a plane. I select this surface as a plane. Say OK and default. Select the reference. Make it normal. And now you can draw your sketch. Once again, I'll draw the sketch, something like this. I'll say OK. Now your G is ready, apply it and say OK. Once again, you add the section arrow, click on arrow, select this view and select this view. Now you can see that your section is passing through this line. So this is how we create planar and offset section directly inside the drawing. And there is no direct option available for zone section inside the drawing. So if you are going for zone section, you need to create zone section inside the 3D and then that section you can bring to your 2D drawing. So for 3D section, I'll just click this isometric view. I'll go with section and now I'll go with 3D cross section. Now you have C or F, two views. I'll select the F, apply it and say OK. Now you have that zone section applied in your isometric view. So that zone section you can apply even in your 2D views. So go to the section, no section, and then go for 3D cross section. Select your zone section, apply and say OK. Now you can see that you have that zone section applied to your 2D view. Click on arrow, select this view and select this view. Now let's talk about some additional option inside the section. So I'll go with section, no section, apply, close. I'll just delete this arrow. Once again I'll go with section, 2D section, I'll select A, apply. Now this is the planar section I have applied, but inside that you have some options which is full, half, local, and then you have aligned, unfold. So what are these options? Full option is nothing but the full section view which you already have by default. When you go for half, then it asks for a reference plane. Now reference plane you can select, switch on the datum planes and then you select any plane. This plane I have selected, arrow direction is OK, say apply and say OK. Switch off your data planes. Now you can see that this is the half section of that planar section. Once again double click, go for section, go for full, apply, and this is the full section. Next option is local section. So when you go for local section, it asks you to draw a spline. So I will create a local section, and for that first I'll select a reference point and I'll draw a spline around that. Apply it and say OK. So this is your local section. So this option is helpful when you don't want to create the entire section view. You just want to add the section on a particular area where some of the critical features are coming. So in that case, you can use local section. Once again, I'll go to the section, full section, apply it. Now here you have one more option called total and area. When you select the area, it will only keep the sectional area and other lines it will remove, which is helpful in some cases. So if you need, you can create area section, or otherwise you can leave with total section view. Now let us see some of the example of full section, half section and local section. So if you see this drawing, this is a screw jack assembly, and if you see the section of item number 4, this is an example of full section. If you see the section of item number 1 or item number 2, it is an example of half section, and if you see the section of item number 3, this is an example of local section. So you have a critical feature here. To highlight this critical feature, we have just created a small section here, which is local section. And at last, don't forget to add arrow for this section view. Now to explain these two options, which is nothing but full unfold and full aligned, I'll use one more drawing. So this is my one more drawing. Now here I'm going to add a section for this view. I have already created a section view, which is this section A, apply. This is an offset section. I'll add the arrow for this view to this view. So you can see that this is not a planar one. This is an offset section. My offset section name is section A. Now here, if you see, this section is going through this hole, this keyway, and this standard hole, which is visible here in this view. You have the section of this standard hole here, and then this big hole is nothing but this hole, and here you have keyway, which is this one. So this is passing through these lines. So I have already created offset section here. Now if I double click this and go to the sections, my section A is selected, it is full section. Now I'll change to full aligned. The moment I change to full aligned, it asks me to select an axis. So I'll select this axis and I'll say apply and say OK. Now you can see that this view got aligned as per this section. Now this looks like a planar section, but it is still an offset section because you still have this hole here and this standard hole here. So this is going through this line only, but now it is completely aligned. So now you can see that it is fully aligned. And one more option you have, which is called full unfold, which is similar to full aligned. So when you select full aligned, it asks you to select a center axis to make it align. When you select full unfold, then it flattens the entire section. So to see that, I'll just create a projection view this side. I'll make it a general view. Now I'll go to sections, 2D section. I'll select section B. Now I have full unfold and full aligned, both options highlighted here. First I'll go with full. I'll say apply. Now I have full section, and then I'll change to full unfold and say apply. Go to arrow select this view and place this. Now you can see that this section line is going like this. So this hole is here, then the line is passing through the standard hole which is available here, then this line is going through this big hole which is nothing but these two lines. Again this is passing through this big hole which is nothing but these two lines. Then it is going through the standard hole which is available here, and then at last it is passing through this big hole, so which is here. So now you can see that this offset section got flattened, and you can rotate it if you want, something like this. Now let's create two more views to relate these views with each other. And for that, first I'll move this side, I'll move this view this side, and then I'll go with projection view. So now I have four views. I'll just change the view type. This view I'll add section 2D. I'll go with section A. Now section A is the offset section, and for this view I'll go with section 2D, section B, apply and OK. Add arrow for section AA, select this and select this view. So now you can see that section A is going like this. Now these two views are section A, but this view is section A with full aligned option, and this view is section A with full option. Now you can see the difference between full aligned and full option. Now here this feature is completely visible, but in this section this feature is not visible completely. Now if you go to section B, this is offset section with full option, and this is offset section with full unfold option. Both are section B. So now you can see the clear difference between these two sections. Now you can see that these standard holes are not visible in full option, but it is visible in full unfold option here and here. Not only that, you can see the complete hole, this big hole, in full unfold view, but it is just 1/4 visible here and here in full option. Now what is the use of full aligned and full unfold option? So as you compare these views, you can clearly understand that sometime, suppose you need to place all the dimension of this standard hole to this view, then it is very difficult because that feature is not clearly visible here. But you can place those dimensions in this view because it is aligned view, and now the feature is clearly visible here. So these two options, full aligned and full unfold, help us to create all the dimensions in one single view. So it allows us to avoid some of the unnecessary views, and we can place all the dimension in one single view. So this was full aligned and full unfold option inside the 2D sections. Some additional option for planar and offset section inside the drawing. Now one last section view we have left, which is called revolved section view. So let's understand revolved section view. And for that I'll go to a drawing, which is this one. So if you see this drawing, this is a crane hook, and if you see this section view, which is placed within the parent view, is an example of revolved section view. So revolved section view doesn't mean that it has to be from a revolve feature. It can be from extrude feature or blend feature or any other feature. So the whole idea of revolved section view is, when you create a section view somewhere here, you can't place the section view in the same parent view. You need to have either a top view or a bottom view to place the section. So when you create a section from a parent view and place the same section within the parent view by rotating 90 degree, then that kind of section is called a revolved section view. One more drawing I have, which is this one. Now you can see that this is a screwdriver drawing. So here I have three revolved section view. One is in this location, one is in this location, and another one is in this location. So this revolved section view will be placed within the parent view, or sometime it will be placed out of the parent view with the extension line. So to create a revolved section view, I'll go with another drawing. So first I'll close this drawing. Now I have this screwdriver part. I'll open the drawing first. I'll press O to open the drawing. So this is my screwdriver drawing. So here I will create 3 revolved sections one by one within the parent view and outside the parent view. So let's start revolved section view, and for that go to revolved view, select the parent view. Now it is asking you to select the location of revolved sections. So I'll select somewhere here this axis. Now you have two options, planar and offset. This is exactly similar to the previous session. So if you select planar, you can select a datum plane, and if you select offset, you can sketch the section line. So I'll go with planar, single, and done. Now it is asking you to assign a section name. So I'll assign section A, enter. Now here you have few options, plane, make datum. So plane, if you go with plane, then you need to select a direct datum plane, and if you go with make datum, then it will allow you to create the location. So I'll go with make datum because I don't have any datum plane on that location. Now once you select make datum, it gives you a lot of options to create a datum. Now you have several options here, through, normal, parallel, offset, angle, tangent, lot of options. I will go with offset, and then I will select this surface to offset my datum plane from this surface. Now once you have selected this flat surface, now you have two options, true point or intervalue. So if you go with true point, you can select any particular point, but if you go with intervalue, then you need to specify some numerical value. So I'll go with true point, and I'll select this point and say done and say OK. Now you can see that you have created a revolved section in this location. The same procedure will follow once again to create another revolved section view. So click on revolved view, select parent view, and then select the location where you want to place this section. So this is my location. I'll select this. Now I can go with the same section, or I can go with create new, planar, done. I'll take section as B. Again make datum or plane. I'll go with make datum, offset, same surface, and this time true point. I'll select this position to place the section and say done and say OK. So your section B is created here. Same procedure once again I'll follow. Revolved view, parent view, center point somewhere here, create new, planar, done, section C, enter, make datum, offset, same surface, this surface, true point, and I'll select point somewhere here, done and OK. So now you can see that I have created 3 revolved section view within the parent view. Now the same section view I'm going to create outside the parent view, and for that follow the same procedure, revolved view, select the parent view, and this time select center point of drawing view. So earlier I was selecting this axis as a center point. Now I'll select a point somewhere outside this view and say apply. Once again revolve view, parent view, outside, section B, apply. Revolve view, parent view, again center point outside somewhere here, select the section C, apply and OK. So now you can see that we have just created 6 revolved section view, 3 within the parent view and 3 outside the parent view. Now this revolved section view can be dimensioned. You can add dimension, something like this. So this was all about revolved section view. Now why we need revolved section view? So the best example is this screwdriver itself. So if you need to create this many sections, then you require multiple side views to place these sections, which is difficult sometimes. And if you have revolved section view, then within the parent view you can place it. You can save a lot of drawing space, and these section views are much more clear than a side section view. So this was all about the sections in Creo Parametric, and I hope this video will be helpful. Now you can write your comments below in comment section area, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. So this is it, guys. Now like this video if the video is helpful, share this video with your friends, and subscribe my channel for further updates.